guests that we've been putting together is that today we're gonna see the work of Jaime Peña, who's been focusing on one specific material, which is bamboo, that you're gonna be seeing a little bit more with him, of course. And he's been inspired and investigating. Sorry, am I being listened? Do you listen? Yeah. Okay. He's been inspired, and his work has been leading in sacred geometry. So I hope that this it's a story that is going to bring you grounded to see the outcome of all these conversations that we've been having, of honoring, of creating temples for ourselves, for others, for the territory, of voicing the territory, of receiving the messages of the sacred geometry that you see in nature, and receive them as conversations with the entities and with what you want to honor and shape as an architecture infrastructure. Jaime has been an inspiration for us for many years, and I was lucky enough to 3 years ago make him a colleague of the project of the House of Thought that I showed you. He lives in Mexico. He came to Colombia. He trained us in this specific technique of guadua shaped in the stripes, like you see. He came. He taught us the technique, and he designed and guided us in the geometry of the torus that I talked to you about, which is how he works and how he guides his designs as well. It was the most amazing process for me as an architect, because of how I learned to listen this material, because of how of his teachings and guidance of how to design from these voices of nature. And it changed my whole mind, this idea of creating and designing not orthogonally anymore, but to feel free of any organic shape and manifest it as a structure through this technique. So I'm super happy to have him here. He's a support in every project that I try to launch, and I don't know how to. So Jaime, thank you very much for being here. It's really an honor to have you here, and I hope you guys enjoy a lot this presentation.
And thank you, Ana Maria, for the invitation. Nice to meet you guys. Can you hear me? Can you see my screen? Okay, nice to meet you. I'm Jaime Peña, architect from Colombia. I have been working in this process with the natural materials and the universal geometry for more or less 20 years, understanding more that how we can create architecture is how we can create architecture for this planet, for this universe, using the universe guidelines, understanding how the universe operates, and in the same time, how your body, your thoughts, your fields operates into the planet in relation with to find an harmony between the nature and you, like a human species in this planet, okay? My skill is the architecture, my guideline is the architecture. I'm an architect. I have been working first with Arquitectura Mixta, right now with Jaime Peña Studio, but this investigation is to show to the human species and the nature how it's possible to create this kind of architecture in relation with the universe and with some biomaterials, because I'm working with biomaterials like bamboo, like wood, like stones, like earth, in different techniques, okay? Like I told you guys, our inspiration is the universal geometry. I think that all the humans and all the nature have a very beautiful guidelines, a very beautiful origin in the body, in the geometry, in the thoughts, in the feelings, you know, in the energy transmission. All this beautiful system that call it universe or multiverse, give us all the skills, give us all the paths and show us all the guidelines to create a beautiful life, like the nature, you know? You have spirals, you have elliptical geometry, you have spheres, you have branching system, many elements that you can take and understand and apply in a beautiful architecture. Sacred geometry is not talking about the religion, you know? Sacred geometry is talking about the universe, about your relation with the universe, with this beautiful, magnificent system. So even talking about geometrical things, the universe have many guidelines or many grids that you can use to design, you can use to understand, you can use to find a way for a beautiful project like the Flower of Life, you know, like the Spiral Torus, like the Torus project that will show you, and the Crystal Spiral. These three options, it's three only option, but you have many options. If you make a more deep investigation, you will find other guidelines, you know, like Penrose pattern as well. Many, it's infinite, you know, like the universe, and all the time is in evolution and in expansion. For example, the crystal spiral is an evolution for the Flower of Life, you know, and all the elements in the world, all the elements in the universe have this guideline. For example, to understand better, like scientific proof that we are Flower of Life, you can see these three lines in the left side. It's possible to see this, the draw for the Flower of Life, the process, you know, starting in the circle of the sphere, that is the first rule, the first geometry, and making movements in spiral. You can create a beautiful flower, a beautiful pattern, a beautiful guideline, or a beautiful grid. In the middle of the lines, you can see the sketching from the ovum in the process to the creation, to the life. In the right side is the microscopic imaging that is a proof that we are Flower of Life. You know, it's the same process, the same guideline, the same movement. We are universal geometry, guys, in our body, in our us. The universe make manifestations in our planet because we are in a little system, and this system have many beautiful expressions, you know, like the jaguar in the skin, talking about the patterns, you know, expression on the patterns. Amazon River is a spiral geometry to energy transmission. In the center, it's possible to see the trees, no? The branchings. The branching system is the more efficient system to transmission of energy, like your pulmons, like the placenta in the babies. Is in English placenta, Maria? I don't know. I forgot the word. Like the river.
Wow, the liquids of the womb where the babies
La placenta.
La placenta.
It's like a collaboration works expression, you know, because in the universe, or listen, collaboration, it's impossible to see the universe with individual methodology, you know. We need to work together, like the universe operates, you know, like the nature operates as well. For example, in the forests underground, you can see the mycelium system. It's the connection between all the elements in the nature, between the trees, between the mushroom, between all the energy, and it's medicine transmission as well. You know, and in the human species, our ancestral communities, indigenous communities, the expression in the colors, you know, in the wisdom, the ceremonies. So you have many elements to take to understand if you make a pause, so you stop a little bit to think, to see around you, in the middle of the nature. And it's possible to understand all these systems and guidelines to apply in the architecture. It's clear until now. Sorry for my English, but I'm trying to speak the very English that I have. Okay.
Any question?
One of the...
Any question, guys?
Sorry?
Or guys, are you listening? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
This is great.
See that?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, perfect. One of the mods for me and for many Colombian people, or people from Colombia, indigenous culture in Colombia, in my experience, is the Kogi culture, because they have still like lot connection with the universe, lot connection with the cosmologic things, They live in a mountain, Sierra Nevada, Santa Marta, and for them, this mountain is sacred mountain. It's like the guardian of the earth, of the planet. And they are understanding this mountain like a temple, like a big temple, where they have elements, they have they have life, they have food, they have energy, they have all things that they need. And they are working in making different process of protection for this mountain, only like a reference. Even for the territory occupation, they have a very beautiful wisdom about it to understand like the capability of the territory, It's not like to live in a cities with the millions of people using a lot of resources. No, the Kogi people understand how much the territory have resources for you, thinking in, for example, wood for their houses, food, water, and they are living in little village around the mountain, not in a big one village, And this relation with the territory is very important, guys, to understand when you will create a project, when you will draw or build a project in the context, So, and the relation with the architecture, like a temple, like an antenna, like a antenna for energy canalization. In the roof, it's possible to see this relation with the energy of the universe, how it's possible to get the energy from the universe with that element. The name is diapason. I don't know if you understand diapason, guys. It's a little element it's like antenna to get energy and make this transmission. So to understand how it's possible to create architecture with all this wisdom, universal wisdom, or universal concepts, it's very important to find in the nature the materials, because you have all that you need in the nature. You have materials, you have guidelines, you have different elements, you have collective communities. And for us in the tropical countries, for example, I'm from Colombia, we have a giant grass called bamboo. The bamboo for us is a sacred plant as well. It's a beautiful element from the nature with a beautiful expression, with the capability to be strange and flexible. It's possible to make beautiful structures and beautiful flexible structures with organic geometry with this giant grass, because it's a fiber that starts from the roots until the top, parallel fibers, different than the wood. The wood have some cuts in the nuts, but with the bamboo it's possible to get like a cables and put them working together like the universe works, understanding fractality concept, patterns concept, and the different levels. So the next part of the presentation, I will show you guys some architectural structures that we are working. We have been working in Arquitectura Mixta and Jaime Peña studio, but with focus in the temples, in create these spaces to pray, to offering, to give and to receive, you know, because we need to understand that the logic in the universe is first to give, and after that you will receive, you know. It's like the Taurus energy, we'll show you in the Organismo project. Using the bamboo like a main material for the flexibility, for the strong resistance for a structural system, because it's very important to understand the relation between the universal geometry, architecture, material, and engineer. You know, you need to look around all these concepts to have very beautiful structure and resistant structure, depend of the context. For example, we are working in Riviera Maya in Mexico. We have a lot of hurricanes, you know. It's so strong, the hurricane season from September more or less until November, December, in all the Mexican Gulf as well, and in the Riviera Maya. We live in Bacalar, sometimes in Tulum, in Cancun, Playa del Carmen. We need to work in relation with the nature all the time. So how is possible to design an architectural universal project with natural materials and with good resistance from the hurricanes? The answer is to understand each like phenomenon from the nature. For example, the hurricane, we need to understand the hurricane geometry, how the hurricane operates, how the hurricane make an approach to the land, you know, in spiral geometry, in elliptical geometry as well, and how it's possible to make a, I don't know, how can I say, descompression, because when you are in the hurricane season, if you have your house, it's not good to close all the windows. You need to open a space to make a decompression, like the whales make the decompression in the sea, you know? So you can take different elements in your context, because this project is in front to the mar, to the sea, you know? And we need to understand this. I work in the project like advisor with Neil Thomas from Atelier One. I don't know if you know him. He's from London or Manchester. He's a very, I don't know, good engineer, you know, very practiced and very good advisor for me. And we create the Guardians Palmaya Temple. You know, it's a structure that is a transition between a big hotel in Riviera Maya and the sea and the beach. You know, in this structure, many people make like yoga practice, meditations, some activities, but activities in relation with the context. You know, it's not Paris, like a DJ, so like something like this. No, it's more flow activities, more spiritual activities, more Caribbean activities in relation with the nature. So it's made with 7 towers, reciprocal towers, made it with bamboo splits, you know, like I told you, the last slices. And in the roof is like a surface that are dancing with the hurricanes or with the wind. So it's my son, you know, because it's different. You need to create like a highway for the hurricane, you know, taking the same geometry that the hurricane, opening these towers for the compression, you know, and creating a beautiful contrast between the sea, the Caribbean color sea, and the bamboo, you know, and the relation between the context. Guys, this structure is in front to the sea, directly impact from the hurricane. Right now, have 3 impacts for 3 hurricanes, very strong hurricanes, and the structure is in very good condition. You know, it's in a very good conditions. The answering from the structure to the hurricanes was an amazing experience for us, like designers, like architectural designers, like engineer designers, because these structures are proving, you know, these all theoretical things that I told you guys. This is the practice, you know. because it's a very beautiful element in front to the beach, and with the wind and the hurricane geometry. You know, have a dome in the center. You can see the dome in the center, and it's a weaving around the dome, waves around the dome. And the structural system is working with the, like a net beard, you know, using the branching system, understanding the branching system like the more efficient system for energy transmission. And this is also parametrical architecture, because the nature is parametrical, you know, use geometry and mathematical relation. And it's possible to to create different forms, like the form finding, to find the bed geometry, to receive the hurricanes, so to have more harmony relation between the context, between the territory, between the structure and the human species. The energy inside of this structure is different. If you can check Dan Winter, he's a scientific from USA, I think, and he proved the energy inside of the organic structure of the universal structures. He planted a seed inside in the sphere, and other one inside in the cube, you know, and the seed that he planted inside in the sphere ground and raised more healthy, more strong, you know, because the energy transmission between the universe and the structure is like an antenna with all this geometry. Max Planck is a scientific, I think from USA, from Germany, sorry for the nationality. And he said that all the energy transmission is in waves in the universe. Your thoughts are working in waves. You know, the sun, the nature's strong forces are making in waves. And you need to create waves in the architecture. This is a Guardians Palmaya temple, very beautiful project. And this project are proving the resistance from the universal geometry, from the nature, like the hurricanes. Now is the toroid or the torus. The torus or toroid geometry is the geometry origin of the universal energy. You are a torus. Each of you guys are a torus. You know, in the center, you have your body, but if you move tus brazos, your hands, in circle geometry, you can create a torus geometry, you know? In the theoretical things in the universe, you need to give first, then receive. You know, if you give, you will receive. You know, this is the logic. And for the temples, this is an amazing structure. This is an amazing geometry, because the connection inside of this geometry with the universal energy is directly, you know, it's possible to be more deep, to have more deep talks, more deep prayers, more deep meditation, you know, about, because the energy are flowing in a good frequency, in a good vibrations, you know. This is very important to understand when you are designing temples for offering, for prayer, for praying, is how the energy is flowing inside in your structure, how the energy will affect my thoughts, my meditations, my relation with the fire, you know, my relation with the sounds, my relation with my insight. So the total is a beautiful geometry. With Ana Maria, we're working in a temple project that I think you see pictures about it. But this experience for me in personal terms wasn't a wow amazing experience, because I have been studied the torus geometry for some years ago, before Ana Maria invited me to create this project, and this was the first opportunity to materializar this structure, you know, to create architecture with universal geometry, with natural materials, to pray, to offer it, to create temples, you know, like a multicultural space, like a multicultural structure. Even the spiral are talking with you in the structure, you know, because in the center have a beautiful ring. you know, is the center of your body. And this splits. The weaving is in a spiral. And if you are working in this project, it's like a therapy for your mind, for your hair, you know, because you are weaving each split for each split. It's a very beautiful therapy as well, this architecture, you know, and with bamboo that is flexible, that is strong. And one thing to understand is the relation between the different layers or different parts of the structure. For example, you have your body, imagine your body, you know, you have your bones. They are your main structure, your bones, but you need like surfaces to make energy transmission in your body, you know, structurally and quantic relation. You know, in this case, the annels of the rings are the main structure, you know, working together, the same dimension, and the splits are creating like a skin, like a surface. The name is diaphragma structural, a structural diaphragm. That is a parametric concept, parametric understanding, like the nature is. For example, the leaves, you can check the leaves in the sun, and the leaves have the main structure, like the bones, and have different skins. It's more easy in your body, you know, you can understand better in your body this kind of relation between the universal understanding and the structural things. It's very important, guys, that you understand all these topics in the same time to create beautiful architecture, a structural resistant architecture, and universal architecture. The magic of the light, the magic of the floor, the fire in this project is an amazing experience, you know. When you are inside in the torus, it's like a nave espacial, chuslet, transbordador espacial, you know, that give you a direct connection with the universe. The center of the torus contains the fire, the main fire, and around the torus you have other fires. And the fields inside the structure, when you look the weaving, when you look the scale, you know, because in the center have 10 meters of height, and the rings have 8 meters of diameters, and the diameter of the footprint is 14 meters. You know, it's a very, how do I say, imponente structure, you know, to pray, and it's a temple, and the relation with the territory is super beautiful because the roof is attached until a line, but you have all the visual for the context. You know, you have the relation with the exterior and with the interior, and you feel like inside the womb, you know, with this protection, but you can see the exterior. And it's a beautiful experience with Ana Maria and Texel Ana Maria to open this way to create this amazing project. The spiral from the fire in direction to the universe, you know, in this connection. The clothes, the skin, you know, this sky window, the spiral in the bamboo splits, the spiral in the bamboo poles with the reciprocal towers, you know, have many elements, but all in harmony, you know, all with the same perspective, with the same focus. This is a picture that I took for a video. Sorry for the quality, but it's a beautiful the relation between the context, the territory for the torus geometry, so pure geometry, you know, but it's an antenna, directly antenna. Will be amazing if you guys can come to Organismo to know Organismo and this structure to understand, to feel these kind of structures. Made it with bamboo, made it with touch, made it with natural materials, made it in collaboration with volunteers, with experts in bamboo, with builders, with architects. You know, many people put their hands in this project. Like the universe operate, you know, in collaboration. When the human species work in collaboration, we'll make amazing things, guys. You know, we need to back to the origin to understand this kind of works. The weaving and the diaphragma structural in the skins, and the windows that are opening and create different perspectives, you know, to the mountains, to the trees, to the agroforestry system that Ana Maria have around the torus, you know, like a portals to make relation between exterior and interior, but the access is not directly. You had a little umbral, little portal before you go inside in the torus, like the right picture can show you guys. Can show you the fire, the textures is super beautiful. It's amazing to work in this kind of architecture, you know, because it's information from the universe. It's information, you know, from Jaime Peña or from Ana Maria or from anyone, you know. This information you take if you have connection with the universe, with the nature, with the wisdom universe, with the indigenous culture practices, you know. For that, we need to back to the origin, you know, to understand our ancestral cultures, how they work, how they feel the universe, how they feel this wisdom, this respect for the universe. This is a ceremony inside the torus with the fire, with the colors of expression, the fire in the bamboo, because this split works like mapping, you know. It's possible to make projection from fire for lights or expression to the bamboo, because it's like a screen, sorry, like a mapping, and they are absorbing of the lumens from the light, and the expression is super beautiful. Other project that was a very important project for us, because was the first project, temple project, where we use an engineer, where we use like a scientific analyze for the structure. Collab Design is a architecture study in Tulum, and they called us to work in collaboration to create the Loom Temple. The Loom Temple was inspiring in the Felix Candela architecture. I don't know if you know, guys, Felix Candela is an architect from Spain that in the violence, he moved to United States, and after that he moved to Mexico. And in Mexico, he found the paraboloid hyperbolic formula, mathematics, you know, and he built different structures in Mexico, like church, restaurants with this geometry. But in this case, we can use paraboloid catenaric arches, like Gaudí in the Sagrada Familia in Barcelona. It's a different arches. And using parametric architecture, using fractal concepts, using different patterns, expression, like the jaguar. You remember the jaguar in the skin, the expression of the jaguar. You can use this expression in your structures, in your architecture, in your arts expression, because it's not only in the architecture, guys, in the music, you know, it's in the art, visual art, you know. You can use the sacred geometry, the universal geometry, in all of expression for the human expression, because the nature have this expression right now. We need to understand and to apply and to learn from the nature. So in this structure, we show it the main structure, that is this Greek shell made with bamboo splits in different geometries, you know. You have main structure like the arches. You have two kind of arches. The arches that are made in the compression in the center. You can see a little sky window, and these arches starting arrive in the center. That is a ring, the steel ring, that is supporting the compression forces in the structure. This is the arch in the center. This is how we build this structure. It's very easy, it's not complicated, you know, but the relation with the context was super beautiful. The paraboloid hyperbolico is like one arches moving in relation with the center, and you can repeat many arches around the center, you know. In this case, we have 5 arches, but it's possible to have 4 arches, 8 arches, 12 arches. You can decide, you know, depending on the scale of your project. But it's ritualistic, the relation between the geometry and the jungle. This is inside in the Mayan jungle in Tulum, where it's a very, I don't know how, it's very deep jungle, you know. very strong jungle, aggressive jungle, but it's a super beautiful jungle. You know, that how we can make beautiful structure inside this jungle, not with concrete, not with normal geometries, you know, not with consumption geometries or architecture, you know, it's with sacred geometry, with universal geometry, understanding the natural materials. What is the best natural materials to create this ritual, these organic rituals? And at the same time, how we can understand the structural from the nature, the structural things from the nature to create a structural architecture with bamboo. So other pictures, left side, you can see the compression ring, you know, when arrive 5 arches. And right picture, you can see the catenaric arches. The height of these arches is 7 meters in the center, and in the base, from the bases is 6 meters. And the diameter of the project, I think, is 14 meters as well, like the torus. You know, the light in the structure and the light in the trees, you know, it's a beautiful contrast. It's like a ritual ceremony to stay there. It's for yoga practice as well. It's for some ceremonies, Mayan ceremonies, you know, congregation, meetings, different activities inside of this developed. Loom Temple is the name for this project. So the picture with other perspective is fractality, is patterns, is collaboration as well, is expansion as well, is geometry, is mathematics, is wisdom from the nature, ritualistic things, you know, is offering as well, because if you see on the top, it's like a flower as well, you know, and the universe are looking for a flower in the middle of the jungle. This is a little structure. We have a concept in Jaime Peña studio that we are thinking in how it's possible to back to the origin, because the knowledge that the human species have right now, or some knowledge of how the form that how apply this knowledge in the structures, we think that's in the wrong way. And we need to back to the origin to understand the knowledge from the origin, you know, the more pure knowledge, because the universe are making like a tattoo in your ADN with all the information from the universe, with all the guidelines, with all the wisdom, with all the knowledge. But when you born, many activities, human activities are like blocking this information, the shots, the vaccines, the food, you know, the life, the stress in life in the big cities. But it's possible to back to the origin. For that, we create like a womb structure. It's a little temple for us in our workshop in Tulum, where we are doing some little ceremonies, where it's for us like a prototype to make some research about the relation between the natural material, for example, in this case, the wood, the bamboo in the walls, and the air bricks dome in the center. That is the belly for the wand, you know. Is ritualistic because when you go inside of this structure, the scale, the geometry are making in your fields different expression, you know. You can see patterns, texture, lights, you know, in different times on the day, geometry, elliptical geometries, spheres, the relation between bamboo poles and bamboo splits to understand that is the same element. Only I did some transformation for them, you know, the bamboo poles. From the bamboo poles, I can make the bamboo splits, but in the two expression, in the both expression, I can use the bamboo in different structural systems, you know, because when you have bamboo poles like these columns, like these pillars, you have some properties, you know. But when you made a split from the bamboo poles, you lose some properties, but you win some properties like flexibility and strange beams that are working in collaboration together. This is fractality as well, you know. So how all these universal concepts you can put together in one structure, and how the structure opening the space to offering as well, you know, to go bring to the people stimulation in their sense, you know, and how it's possible to open your heart, open your mind, and connect with the universe, with the universal energy, with these kind of structures. And the expression is super beautiful, you know. It's like a, I don't know, piece of art for us. These beings, even again the spiral, you know, these elliptical geometry are absorbing the spiral geometry from the splits. All the splits are starting in the floor, in the wood, and are arriving in the ring, you know, and this ring are made in like a spiral relation, you know, spiral geometry. And the belly in the center. Oh, es ombligo en inglés, se me olvidó cómo se dice ombligo.
Belly button, the belly button.
Belly button, the belly button. It's a very beautiful temple, a smaller one for us, but it's our temple in Tulum, in our Tulum workshop. Around half agroforestry system, are in the middle of the jungle in Tulum as well. This is the tunnel to back to the origin, but it's the tunnel to reborn as well, you know. And these curtains that you can see there in the final of the tunnel is from bamboo poles, but it's not easy to cross this curtain. You need to make a little force, you know, like the born is, or like the reborn is. Even we are designing some mobiliary. This is the warm table as well with parametric architecture, you know, and the relation for all the materials, all the transformation, the bottom belly with the air bricks dome, like a belly as well, and the windows are organic as well. And all this process was in collaboration in 3 workshops, you know, that we did there in Tulum with people from Mexico, from France, from Colombia. Many people come to our workshop to put their hands in the structure, you know, because when you touch the material, you are understanding better the material. It's different when you see pictures, it's different when you read books, but when you go to touch the material, it's really an amazing experience to understand, because you are making the connection between the material, between your energy, between the temple, between the structure. And this is a little temple for a friend in Tulum as well, close to the beach. We use the volume geometry. That's a dynamic geometry. René Descartes created the formula, mathematical formula for volume. Is the movement of the energy as well, you know. And even the same technique, even the patterns, you know, the different transformations for the bamboo. The left side is the axis. It's in the middle of the jungle, but more close to the beach in Tulum, you know. The landscaping is a little bit different. You have cheat palms, you have a little bit trees, but it's uva de mar. You don't have big trees, you know. The landscaping is different, but it's so beautiful to create these contrasts, no, between the texture from bamboo, the color from bamboo, and the nature. This green around the structure, you know, this brown inside the landscaping is super beautiful as well. This is the interior of the little temple. They are using for meditations, for some practice, but have a lot of movement, you know. He starts in this point and he go around the volume geometry, and you have different expression of the patterns as well in the skin, this structure. There you have the nest beard. Here is more geometrical, more square geometry in the pattern. You have the curtain as well, and you have the expression in the lights. It's super, I don't know how can I see, it's have a great stimulation in your sense. And it's beautiful to connect, to canalize the energy in the meditation, to canalize the energy in front of the fire. Other torus that I did in Tulum as well, with other expression, the pattern, more horizontal, you know, like a basket, more or less, but have the center, you know, have the ring. This is a smaller one. This have 3 meters in the center, 2.5 meters, that fine. And have different expression in the weaving, no, you know, in the pattern, in the skin, in the diaphragm, in the structural diaphragm. The floor is in wood. It's super beautiful with the lights as well. This is the access. This is a little temple like the access for a multisensorial park in Tulum as well. We use Mayan stones that start the path, and arriving to the temple, you can change the materiality to wood. And in the center, you have like a little egg in earth, in bajareke, you know, the wood in the floor, in the ceiling as well. Many expression is possible to do with different material, different textures. And this temple I'm designing for us for a project in Palenque, in Chiapas. It's like antenna, inspiring in the Kogi expression, Kogi cosmological expression, you know, like the diapason. But we are working, I want to show you guys because I'm starting to design this temple with two girls that are coming from Barcelona and Alemania to do some practice in our study, you know. And they want to work in parametric architecture, and this is the first render, but we need to work more on that, you know. It's arches and the yapason up the top in the roof, and the expression for rings, you know, like the Kogi expression, different rings, like a portal, you know, that are guide you in the center and the universe. And thank you so much. Let me know if you have some questions. I hope you are enjoying the presentation and all the projects that is possible to do with universal geometry and bamboo.
Thank you, Jaime. Gracias, Jaime. Guys, we have Jaime for a few more minutes. Do you wanna ask him some questions? Do you have any questions? I'm sure of all this amount of images and information.
I've got a question about the image you showed, which referenced.
We're gonna need someone to be, yeah.
That's what I was gonna. Can you hear me now? If I talk?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, now.
I was just asking about the image you showed, which seemed to convey something about the cosmos in the. Sorry if I'm butchering this. Kogi
culture.
Yeah. What can you explain that image again? Like the kind of layered circles and antenna.
The Kogi culture have like different levels, you know. The image show us 9 levels. The ground level when we are, you know, and 4 levels for the supra world and infra world, you know. And the levels are representing your level of spirituality. You know, if you are in other level, you have more connection. And the mamos that are like the prayers, the main prayers are in the top of the level, because they are people made so pure, with so pure talks, and they are praying all the time for us. They call it us like the, ¿cómo se dice, hermanitos menores?
They call us, like the rest of the human race, are the younger brothers. And they are
younger brothers.
Yeah. And these spirals that you see,
brothers.
The understanding of the cosmovision of what is it above and what is it below. Those 9 layers. Son 9, ¿no? Sí.
Sí, son 9 layers. The ground layer and 4 in the upward and 4 in the underworld. You know, depend your connection, depend on your life. So even in the structures, they are using this level like structural rings for the roofing, you know, sometimes in a spiral connection as well. And this is representing the levels of the life, the spiritual life. I don't know if it's clear for you.
Yeah, how can I read more about that? Like, what would I type in to find that image?
The Kogis, like Jaime said, are in La Sierra Nevada. It's spelled Kogui. It's one of the strongest spiritual cultures, I think, in the world. They're known everywhere. And it's a very good example of how a cosmovision is really represented in their architecture.
Yes.
And And yes, you should read more about the cogis. They're very, La Sierra Nevada is like a chakra of the world energetically. It's where we're very powerful shamans. They call it mamos, but shamans are there. And they're praying for us, and they're praying for the water, because they're also very close to a snow peak. Not we don't have many, but and they protect against the water of a huge region in Colombia, and it's a place that it's also very alive in their cosmovision. And the photos that Jaime show are actual villages that exist.
I have a question. I just wondered how much like digital parametric design played a part in the process of like designing those buildings, and whether you spend a lot of time doing that, or whether it's like you know what it's going to look like and you know the material, and so you just go for it with the building.
The design process for us have like different stages, you know. The first stage is the conceptualization, where we did some research about the geometries that we want to use in the project, you know, make some models and understanding for the sketching, the concept, the proportions, the guidelines. After that, my architects get the information and put in the Rhino software to find the geometry, you know. But in the same time, we are using Grasshopper, you know, software that is an application that you can make relation with the Rhino, and have Caramba, another application to make to find, for example, the form finding, you know, because in the nature you need to understand the geometry in good proportions. It's not each proportion, and the Grasshopper is so helpful to form finding, you know, to form this proportion, and it's with mathematics parametrics. You know, the Grasshopper is maths, is mathematics, numbers, and the Rhino is geometry, you know, and the both softwares have the relation between the maths and geometry. And you can modify all the geometry only to modify one number in the Grasshopper, you know, and it's possible to get the quantities of materials, the surfaces, many information. Is super helpful, the Grasshopper software, super helpful for this architecture, parametric architecture.
Cool. Thank you.
Welcome. Something else, guys?
Yeah, do you know any examples of sacred architecture that use sacred geometries out of other materials, and maybe also in colder climates?
Yeah, I'm working more in the tropical countries, but Felix Candela have the parametric architecture with concrete. Felix Candela, you know, in Chile have a temple as well. I think it's the Lotus Temple. I forget the architecture, but it's possible to find architecture, parametric architecture with other materials, you know. Felix Candela is one of them. Zaha Hadid, for example, Zaha Hadid architects did many beautiful parametric architecture with concrete, with steel, you know. I don't know, but have a lot. Find in Instagram a profile, the name is Parametric Architecture in Instagram. They have many projects. They show all the time different architects around the world working on parametric architecture. Right now with artificial intelligence as well. Right now have a software from artificial intelligence to do this. Parametric architecture, perfectly in Instagram. You will show many projects.
Nice. It's just nice that yours are made out of sustainable materials. So
yeah, it's because my expertise, my waves on sustainable materials and biomaterials, you know, because our concept is from the nature to the nature, from the nature to the human species, from the universe to the human species and to the nature. And we are looking for natural materials to do this kind of architecture.
Nice.
I have a bit of maybe it's a bit of a more boring question, but I was wondering if maybe you're able to share any kind of construction detailed drawings of the buildings, because I'm kind of interested, I don't know, to know, like, beyond bamboo, like, say, what materials did you use for the foundations, like kind of what do the buildings look like below, what do the below ground, or like, and also kind of how do you fix the bamboo slats together, like to use screws or and then also I just want to know beyond bamboo what other materials are.
Yeah, for sure. I can share with Ana Maria. Also, Ana Maria have a lot of detail from the Taurus. This presentation was like a first approach, you know, to you guys understand the relation between universal geometry, materiality, and architecture. But it's possible. I will share with Ana Maria to share with you guys some details, some connections, you know, because when you are working in a hurricane context or earthquake context, you need to create like a structure that are dancing with the natural expression, you know. For that you need mechanical connections that create like articulations, you know, to don't have more rigid structure, more dancing structure. But for sure, it was a pleasure. I will share with Ana Maria and with you guys these details. But it's other it's other class, you know, it's other presentation, more detailing how all the structure operates in the connections, for sure.
Thank you.
Nice.
Welcome.
One from me. Is there any meaning behind the symbolism of your own practice? There was like two kind of logos or symbols within your presentation that defined your own studio. Could you talk if there's some like deeper meaning behind any of those?
The symbol in my presentation is Enlazador de Mundos. It's like a Maya brand for people that are working in connection different worlds, you know, the world and in the deep world and the light world. This is Enlazador de Mundos. Sorry, it's my son.
Bridging worlds.
Yeah. And all the geometries is like a symbol, guys. The torus is like a symbol, like brand, you know. The folium, parabolic, hyperbolic, you know, is the symbol from the universe. But this special symbol is in the Mayan culture, you know, have a lot of symbols. And each of you guys have your symbol, depend of your date of born, you know, your time of born. I have like a, I will share with you like a table, like a guideline to find your symbol, you know, in the Mayan culture. You can find it in internet. My symbol is Enlazador de Mundos. ¿Cómo se dice enlazador en inglés? Yeah.
It's between a bridge and a gatherer.
Yeah, for sure. But you have your own symbol, you know. It's just to looking forward in the internet. I will send you the table sometime.
Thank you.
Oh.
Okay. My son, I say hello. Sorry, you need attention right now. But here learning about all the time as well, you know, with me in the projects, in the design studio, in the building place.
Thank you so much, Jaime, again for all your information and amazing manifestations.
Thank you, Ana Maria, and thank you guys. And we are open to share the information, guys. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gracias, que tengas buen día. Nos estamos hablando.
Igualmente para ustedes. Chao. Bye.
So about that question that you just said about foundation, are you listening to me?
Yeah.
About the techniques of joining, and you know, we can have I can show you. It's there's some golden rules, of course. The bamboo would never land straight on the earth, and there are many ways of tying it. He's going more and more how do you say it, more crafty. He's now doing projects without even putting nails, just weaving. So but there are many ensemble techniques for the structures and for the foundations, no? But basically you have to elevate and design the pillars to where these columns are going to land so they don't touch the ground. And in a nutshell, I would like to draw it to you, but this pillar, since it's not an orthogonal architecture, you know, it's not a column that lands straight, but it's a circle that, you know, kind of arrives diagonally to ground. What we did in the Taurus basically was a little pillar of cement. And in that pillar, you know, rebar comes out. Mm-hmm. And that rebar is bended diagonally to receive this curve, right? The rebar receives this curve, and then we weld some rings around it. Yeah, I'll show you some technique. So it's the concrete pillar that of course goes under like a meter, almost a meter under the ground, but because it's going to receive all this tension that the circle comes. The rebar that comes out of the cement that goes in diagonally, like another basket receiving this, and then we weld some rings. It's kind of like the elbows, the articulation, and it happens several times in the job site as well. It happens in the ground, and then when one arc joins another arc, also they have this metal kind of articulations that tie them together. So amazing work, no? It's definitely not doing a straight line anymore.